Hey, everybody, and welcome back to MindWhack, the podcast all about AI for content marketers. My name is Lori Kirkstead, and I'm the founder of Content Uncomplicated.
And I'm Spider Graham, and I'm the founder of Gravity Clamp. And Lori, once again, it's such a pleasure to be able to spend this time with you and to share some thoughts. And boy, do I have something I want to share with you this week.
Oh, I bet you
It's
do.
again, it's we talk about the just the changes that we're seeing in technology. The technology by itself, great, but what people are using this technology for, there's a little bit of, I'm going to be totally honest, there's a little bit of fear in there.
A
There's a
little
little
bit.
bit of fear. And what I want to show you today is amazing. It actually tings the awesome block for me, which I don't spend a lot of time. I'm not a hyperbole dude. I'm not like, whoa, that's so awesome. This is awesome. And the
Yep.
reason it's awesome is because, again, as a tool, being able to take less time to do the things we need to do is really, I think, the secret sauce. If I can get more content, more quality content in front of my audience to tell them about why they should take advantage of my brand and services, that's really what I want to be able to do. And if all my time is spent, like, imagine if you had to go out there and, build all your own websites and create all your own images and take all your own photographs and write all your own blog posts and all that, which a lot of people have done. You don't have time to do much else. And with AI, of course, we've been able to say, hey, I don't need to do it all myself. This beautiful assistant over here will handle some of the writing for me and make this image based upon my specs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I find fascinating, and by the way, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am an Audible voice author. I have several books under my belt, and I worked with a client, and it's a fun process. But the process is you with the book and your microphone and something you can use to edit with, right? And recording and taking out the stuff that doesn't work out so well for you. And it's time consuming. And I'll be totally honest, it's a little exhausting sometimes. If you've ever sat down and read a book for 8 hours out loud, you'll know what I'm talking about. You might get just a little vocal fry along the way. And so the point simply is that if there's a tool that would allow me to, I don't know, maybe take care of this without spending a lot of time, what might that tool look like? Now, Lori, you and I, and we'll talk a little bit about the ethics of this and the things that make us cringe just a little bit. But let me share something with you here, and that is I'm going to jump into our view so we can see this, and that is going to be something called ElevenLabs. Now, ElevenLabs allows us to go in here, and the tool is really, let me show you around a little bit. What ElevenLabs tool allows me to do as an end user is to come in here and create basically soundtracks based upon speech. Now, I've been playing around with a bunch of different things in here, and I can come in and I can create my own voice, the voice that I want to use for whatever purposes. Let me show you what this looks like, first of all. Well, let me actually play something with you real fast. I want to kind of get a sense of what this might look like.
Let's do it.
Let me go. I'm going to give some content here. I want to use something called Spider-Gram Deep, which is a deep voice I was working with. I think I just woken up or something and had this, like you just smoked a pack of Marlboros kind of voice, that kind of thing. And let me come in here and say, I want to know everything there is to know about ferrets. Yep, that's it. We're going for ferrets, and I'll grab a paragraph of goodies here. And I'm going to take this, and what I want to do is bring it back into ElevenLabs, and I'm going to put this in my text-to-speech box here. Okay. And so once I have this in here, let me go find the right voice I want. I'm going to use Spider-Gram Deep. And I want you to listen to this. Now, by the way, I've never read anything out loud about ferrets to anybody, probably.
Ferrets may have been domesticated since ancient times, but there is widespread disagreement because of the sparseness of written accounts and the inconsistency of those.
Now, by the way, that is my voice, and that's the deep voice I created. Let me just use my regular voice, the one that you know, and we'll get that hooked up. And again, the takeaway here is I trained this thing to use my voice, and this is what it came up with.
Ferrets may have been domesticated since ancient times, but there is widespread disagreement because of the sparseness of written accounts and the inconsistency of those which survive. Contemporary scholarship
now kind of like tingles up your back kind of thing. That's my voice. I don't remember reading anything about ferrets to anybody ever, including you. And the point simply is this. I have been able to basically take my voice and to synthesize it as a voice that can be used to read anything. Now, we'll talk about the scary part of this because, again, I could deep fake somebody with their voice if I had access to it. without even trying. Let me show you how this works, by the way,
Yep.
just so you get a sense of what's going on here. So if I go to my voices panel here, and I say I want to add a generative or clone voice, it's an opportunity for me to come in and say, do I want to design entirely new voices by adjusting parameters? So for example, let's say I wanted to make my voice more higher pitched, maybe make it sound more like a female voice, etc. I can do instant voice cloning, where I can clone a voice from a clean sample recording, and I can upload that sample recording. Again, the danger, of course, bringing somebody else's voice in and using it as almost a weaponized tool comes to mind. And then there's also, they'll do professional voice cloning. But let me just do a quick voice design here. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click on instant voice cloning, and it allows me to come in and I'll just say, Spider-Gram British. This is going to be embarrassingly bad because I'm going to try to do a fake British accent and see if it picks up on it. Yeah, this is the things we do for science people. I'm doing this for you. So I'm going to come in here and I want to record audio. Now I have here an article a friend of mine wrote, and I'm going to grab a paragraph here, and I'm going to, try to get about 30 seconds. So it's going to require about 30 seconds of me coming in here to make this happen. Let's record the audio, and I'll try to do a bad British accent. It's going to be very bad. And here we go. Momentarily putting aside the contributions of the scammers and attention hogs out there for a moment, spam happened because every other commercial medium had barriers to entry that could be explained in dollars and cents. If you wanted to send a message far and wide, your costs for entry typically included having to produce a TV commercial or pay for copywriting, material, and postage for a direct mailing. And then suddenly, those costs of entry dropped precipitously to near zero thanks to the internet. And thank God that's over. I know you're trying to not laugh at me out there. And I appreciate that.
That's great.
So there it is. So I'm going to come down here. By the way, a couple things. I can have up to 25 different samples if I want to, average my voice out, which is going to make a lot of sense. I'm not going to put any labels in here. And again, very badly acted British voice. Probably not even. I'm sure if anybody from the UK is hearing this, please don't send me hate mail. I'd love to be able to speak with an English accent. I'm just not very good at it.
I don't know. I closed my eyes and I heard Hugh Grant.
Now you closed your eyes and you saw Hugh Grant is probably better. All right. So, and by the way, down here, very important, it says, I hereby confirm, and you may not be able to see this on the screen, I hereby confirm that I have all necessary rights or consents to upload and clone these voice samples, that I will not use the platform generated content for any illegal, fraudulent, or harmful purpose. All right. Which is definitely our case. And we're going to say add voice here. Now, in my experience, and down here, a Spider-Gram British here, I might need to give it a few moments to generate here and get in here. But let's see if we can give it something to work with. I'm going to go back into my speech block here, and you know what? I'm tired of talking about ferrets, kids. Let's go to Wikipedia and let's look up wombats instead. There we go.
The name wombat comes from the now nearly extinct.
Right. So it's not, my voice is not ready yet, which is a challenge you run into. It doesn't really tell you when your voice is going to be ready. It shows me that it's here. But again, the other thing to understand is that if you wanted to use any of the voices that come with it, let's have Alice read this for us for a second.
The name wombat comes from the now nearly extinct Darug language spoken by the Aboriginal Darug people who originally inhabited the Sydney area.
Now, that sounds very Australian to me, which is pretty amazing. And again, being able to come in here and choose from these different voices, that are in here. Let's see how Charlie would handle this.
The name wombat comes from the now nearly extinct Darug language spoken by the Aboriginal Darug people who originally inhabited the Sydney area.
So again, the beautiful thing, there are a lot of great voices and you don't have to rely upon your own. I will go back and see once again if I can actually, if this has had time to process and can work in my bad British accent.
The name wombat comes from the now.
Not so much. Not so yet.
Not so much.
Not so much. So if I come in here and I just say, Spider-Gram conversational, what does that sound like?
The name Wombat comes from the now nearly extinct Darug language spoken by the Aboriginal Darug people, who originally inhabited the Sydney area. It was first recorded in
Now, again, Lori, I mean, the thing about this is that is my voice. It's not my
Mhm.
voice.
Yep.
And it's very weird to hear your own voice coming out of something where you're like, I've never actually talked about the Aboriginal people in any kind of accent. Now, imagine if I go back into my fake British accent in a little bit, I'll be able to find it. It'll take time to process. I haven't quite
Yep.
figured out how long that is. But here's the bottom line. How cool is this? And thinking about from a standpoint, now the inflections are a little, I think they're a little weak in places.
Yeah.
If we're going to find fault with it, the fact that it sounds like me and it's reading content, if you'd shown these 20 years ago, I would have been like, what? Oh my, this would have been mind blowing. Now we're like, oh yeah, we call it Tuesday.
And you
The
like barely trained it. Like you did some training, but that's barely training it.
30 seconds. 30 seconds of content. Now, I would probably, if I were creating a voice that I was going to be using for a lot of things,
Yep.
go in and, read 30 seconds and do that a whole bunch of times. You can put up to 25 samples in there. Let them average them out. Get your inflection, get your weirdnesses, get your breathing, whatever it is to make it sound like you. And maybe get some pauses, but I think it's probably going to tighten it up. But the point simply is now, let's imagine that I've just finished my book. I've been
Yep.
writing this thing for a long time, and I want to create an audible version of it. What's to stop me from just saying, all right, hey, voice, I'm tired. You go take over and read this book for me. One take. I don't need to tweak it to any great degree. Maybe there's a little bit here and there, but yeah, we're done. And it just blows
Writer,
my mind that we could be there.
we should do an experiment because, as you know, I just finished my book, The Imposter's Guide to Authentic Leadership. Let's pop it in there and see what happens. And let
Well,
me
let's have you read it. Let's have Lori Kirkstead voiceover. It's your book.
No, I will, but I think it'd be interesting to see. Here is what I did, just normal personality, my normal full throttle self versus the AI. I think that'd be such an interesting concept. But you know what I want to make a comment about here? This is there's a reason why we called this podcast MindWhack, because everything with AI is mind-blowing. It literally feels like your brain got whacked because yeah, ChatGPT might seem a little bit old now. The first time I tried it, I said, oh my freaking God. So when we linked up and we were talking about the video generation and the music, every conversation had my jaw on the floor. And you might not be a hyperbolic person, but I am. I love hyperbole. And I'm like, holy shnikes, this is incredible. So I just want to put that out there. We talk about a lot of tools, but the fact that it's so accurate now, not perfect, but it's so much more accurate, is blowing my mind.
And as we point out, this is the worst it's ever going to be. I mean, it's just, that's one
Right.
of the things to look at this, like, what is this going to look like in a year or 2 years from now?
Yep.
But let's talk about the underbelly for a moment, because I think
Yes.
it'd be irresponsible of us to say, golly, this is great technology. Let's talk about how this could be horribly used.
Well, you want to talk about the most, I think, influential thing it can be used to the elections. So
Yeah.
I already heard some news, I think it was on a podcast, about how there's lots of legislation that says you cannot use AI to do robocalls or anything like that. Like for anyone, they're just saying you can't use it. And I look at it like there's all these different levels of knowledge. Like if we were to hear something generated by AI, I'm pretty sure we can tell if something is a deep fake. I trust myself. But that's me. That's you and me who've been marketers for a long time.
And have
I'm
you
more
been faked out yet, though? Maybe you don't even know you've been faked out.
That's a very fair point. But let me rephrase it this way. I have been training myself to notice like the telltale signs of AI. But let's say you go on Facebook. I'm worried about Nana seeing a video about Joe Biden. He said he's going to do X, Y, and Z. I saw a video. I heard it. It's like, no, you didn't. And we've already had deep fakes, but now, relating to our previous episode, it's going to be the proliferation. There's going to be more. There needs to be, just like everyone needs media literacy, we all need AI literacy.
And what a great way to put it. And I think, yeah, there's nothing to prevent Aunt Nana from getting smarter over time, by the way.
Yeah.
And, bless anybody who grew up in a trusting world where you took people at face value. And a lot of them, by the way, also get hit by confidence men along the way. Just, there are people out there who want to believe the best in everybody. And by the way, I'm one of those people. I like human beings for the most part, and I want to believe that most human beings are good. And you know what my experience has shown me? That is absolutely the case. most human beings, I would say 98 to 99% of the people you will ever touch base with in your life are good, moral people who just want to live a comfortable and protected life. It's that 1 to 2% who are just trying to game the system and trying to make things happen to their advantage that really end up messing up the sandbox for the rest of us.
Yep. Yep. They're peeing in the pool, so it's all got to be drained.
Exactly right. Yeah. Who peed in the pool? Hey. So anyway, I think I mean, this is not going to be the first conversation. We could probably have long conversations about the ethics of AI.
But
There's
there
going to
is
be
one thing, though. There is
yeah, go
one
ahead.
thing. A common thing we talk about in every single episode and every conversation with AI is trust. And I
Yeah.
think the key here is just being upfront. So if I have, I don't know, a deep fake of the CEO on a website, and that's not actually him or her, and it's just, I'm pointing anything out, like, welcome to our event, whatever. Be honest and say, like, this is not the person actually saying that. Because, like we were just saying, no one knows what's real anymore. And now we can't even tell if we're looking at with the person is real. So you need to be upfront.
Well, you need to be upfront, but again, if your intention is to not be upfront, hearing stories of people basically creating pornography, creating
Yeah.
scenes of celebrities having sex that they never had, and putting that out on the web, going, "Oh my God, how shameful it is that this public person is, doing this horrible thing."
AOC. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see anything, but I heard reference to it. It's not fair.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change anything. That there are plenty of people going, yeah, not fair is how I operate. I want to be able to have the upper hand no matter what. I will cheat my way to the top whenever I can. And if this is how we're going to do this, how we're going to do it. So ethics, I mean, the problem is you can avoid ethics entirely if you don't want that to be part of your life.
Yep.
I'm a big winner. Look at me. And somebody was commenting on something recently, totally as a slight aside, saying, is it cheating if you look up words if you're playing Wordle? Now, I don't know if you play Wordle,
Yep.
but the thing about, well, yes, no, because who are you cheating? You're cheating yourself. It's like a challenge that you're doing. And imagine if you were playing a game of any kind and basically all you did was tell the machine to win for you. You're like, look at me, I'm a big win. No, you're not. I mean, what makes the game fun is the challenge. It's not like if I could go and like play the big ball game and I had a magic bat that would hit home runs every time, that wouldn't be fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, is it cheating to look up Wordle words? Maybe, but that's just you cheating you. But again, this is you cheating to always win. Although my ethics says that's not winning. That's cheating, and they're different.
And it's always the people, like we just said, like the couple of people who ruin it for everyone, where even if people are trying to safeguard, it's like, well, we're just not going to use it then. Like it's too risky. You can't operate that way either. It's not something you can ignore. It's something you have to embrace. But when everyone's using it, expect a couple people to just go off the rails with it,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that's going to be a big problem going forward, of course, is that we're not putting AI back in its box. And if you say, well, it's unsafe, we're not going to use it, you just did yourself a disservice by saying, this scares me, I don't understand it, basically. And so I don't intend to use it for what I need to do in the future. Embrace it. Again, every organization is going to have some terms and conditions surrounding the use of AI within that organization, especially those that are already heavily being, have government watchdogs, pharma, finance, you're not going to be able to do things that smell of fake. And this is not going to get better over time for those organizations either. And by the way, maybe you don't want certain organizations to be able to create their own fantasy stuff. It doesn't work for all brands, but it is going to be something that every business is going to have to know, even if not how to create content, how to be able to understand how to avoid being perceived as having fake content.
Exactly. And here's my final thought on this, right? I understand SEO, for example. I don't know how the algorithm works. I don't know the back end. I understand like large language models and all these chatbots and everything. I don't actually know how they work, but I know how to use them. So people think there is so much knowledge. Yep. And we're never going to, like the average person, me, even though we're content marketers, I still don't know how it actually, like how the sausage is made, but I know how to use it and the value and the danger if I ignore it. So that's the mindset people need to be in.
I think the only advantage of being in any industry for so long is that you finally have a sense of what you don't know, which is most everything. Hey, before we break today, Lori, I'm thinking let's go see if we can get that bad British voice to behave yet. If it's ready to go, let's find out.
Cheers.
The name Wombat comes from the noun.
No, that's not happening. Maybe I have to reboot this or something. All right, well, we gave it a try. Hey, no wombats for you. Anyway, as always, a big pleasure. Thank you so much for working on these with me. It's always good to have a conversation with somebody, and it's a bit of a nerd fest if we're being totally honest. But if you're listening to our nerd fest, then welcome in, nerds. We're happy to have everybody here. Again, our objective is to help you become better marketers by understanding not only content marketing, but also how to wrap the new AI-driven technologies around your content to create some amazing content in the future. That's really what we want to be able to do. Bottom line, help you find the right people to talk to and have a great conversation with
100%. Don't worry about AI, quote unquote, taking your job. Focus on how you can use AI to enhance your career. That's the mindset you got to be in.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Lori, as always, such a pleasure working with you on this. By the way, I'm Spider, and come visit me at gravityclamp.com if you want to learn about AI-focused training programs.
And I'm Lori Kirkstead. You can find me at contentuncomplicated.com and shoot me a DM on LinkedIn. I always love meeting new people.
There we go. That's what we have for you guys this week. More good stuff coming up next week. Good to have you here on MindWhack, and we'll talk to you next time.